back to Mountain Connections. Right now, we are going to speak with Nexus IT. They have tech tips for us today, and joining Nexus IT is Nerve Park City. We are going to be speaking with Earl Foote from Nexus IT and Todd Astle from Nerve Park City. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Christine. How are you? Good morning.
Happy to be with you, Christine.
We are happy that both of you are here. And Earl, right now, you want to talk about the COVID-19 Business Leaders Collective that you are spearheading here in our community. Explain that and tell me why you decided to do that.
Sure. I'm trying to figure out where to be on the screen because it looks like I'm kind of falling off the edge. But Todd, I'm gonna defer this question over to Todd. Todd really was kind of the driving force behind this, and convinced me to join him in the fight. So, Todd, do you want to go ahead and answer that question?
Sure. Thanks, Earl. So Earl and I have been communicating back and forth on social media, and obviously we've been communicating with a lot of other business leaders in the Park City area. And both my wife and I are business owners here in Park City, live in Park City, and are seeing a lot of people in so many different sectors, so many different industries that have been affected by the economic downturn that's a side effect of trying to eradicate this horrible pandemic. And we see on a daily basis the numbers that are associated with hospitalizations and so forth related to the illness, but we don't have a lot of awareness of how people are being affected in their businesses and even in their housing and their health insurance. So we have had people approach us, if we have work, people that have worked for us in the past have done contract labor for us, or even employees that have worked for us in the past, reaching out to say, we know your sector is considered a critical industry, and you're able to operate. Do you have work for us? And as much as we can, we help, but there's so many people out there that are not reached and not able to be supported in this time frame. So we thought, as business owners, we could start to put together some ideas on how we could responsibly and safely reopen some of the additional sectors and get people back to work in this county.
Now, obviously, as business leaders, this economic shutdown has directly affected your livelihood, also your employees, your community, really has this incredible ripple effect. So you mentioned that the primary goal is to hopefully safely open businesses as soon as possible. So what are some things that the collective is looking at to make this a possibility?
So our first thought was to understand what the county is doing. We reached out to Jeff Jones, who is the Director of Economic Development in Summit County, and they obviously have been very focused on what they can do to help businesses out there. We learned some very troubling statistics yesterday from Jeff in a conference call that out of the 30,000 employees in Summit County, about 7,000 of them have already lost their job. And that's based on their models that, that may be worse. Those metrics may be worse than we anticipate. So our goal is, as business leaders, is to put together our own strategies on how we can safely resume business in some of the sectors that are currently closed down and present those solutions to the county and to even state leaders. We're seeing a push now for a lot of the decisions to be driven from the state capital as opposed to locally in our county. And we know that Summit County and Park City in particular is a very unique community. We have very diverse businesses, a lot of small businesses, and these small business owners often have their entire life savings and their home and all these things tied up in their business. And when they lose their business, they lose oftentimes their home. They can lose their health insurance along with all of their employees. So our hope is to be able to work with the county and other leaders in finding solutions to accelerate the process, to use the things that have worked in our business, because we've been able to operate safely and responsibly, and we've seen the benefit that we bring to the community through this process.
And Earl,
Christine,
yes.
Maybe just to talk a little bit about some of the current ideas that have been thrown out on the table, and we're very premature in this. It's really just a couple of days old, but we're talking about how do we implement testing, potentially real-time antibody testing, to figure out if somebody has been infected and is already immune to this, so that they can get back to work, or safe to be in public spaces. We're talking about how do we use PPE without taking it away from frontline workers in order for people to get back to work. How do we social distance at work? How do we sanitize and disinfect spaces? We're talking about other creative methods to support the local community with directories of currently open businesses or maybe marketplaces and things like that. In the end, Todd and I have been fortunate enough that our sectors, while affected, are not gravely affected to this point. And but we see that there's so many in need in our community, and we don't want the amazing diversity that we have here in Park City of our small businesses and all the cool little shops and cafes and restaurants. We don't want to see that go away, and we want to figure out a way collectively with leaders within the community that we can safely get back to work while protecting human life as well.
So the idea and the hope, the objective behind this collective is that business leaders will come together, strategize with each other how economically this can happen, and then get advice from the health professions in our area about the safety to make sure everything comes together in hopefully a seamless way.
Exactly. Yeah, we've actually had a number of contributions from medical professionals in our group and made sure that we engage them as well because we need that insight. But I operate in both the technology and the construction industries, and I've seen throughout the construction industry that's continued to operate during this the shutdown for many industries. They've done it very responsibly, very safely. It's been very productive. It's keeping people working, and it's also contributing to the overall economy. And both Earl and I have focused on supporting local businesses. We go out of our way to frequent restaurants with takeout and so forth, and even purchasing gift certificates or gift cards for businesses that may currently be closed but will reopen soon.
And if individuals within our community have ideas for the collective, maybe even want to join the collective, where should they go? How can they find out more?
I think probably the best way right now, because we don't have any sort of official online presence, is look Todd or I up on LinkedIn and reach out to us there. Of course, you can reach out to us through our businesses, Nexus IT and Nerve on Todd's side. Just call our main phone numbers.
And Earl, quickly, before I let you go, there were some security issues that I wanted to address. Working from home, there were some things that happened on Zoom recently. What are some tips that you can navigate this safely and securely since so many individuals and businesses have shifted to homework?
Yeah, we've seen just a massive influx of security vulnerabilities and problems with people working at home and using remote collaboration tools, but particularly Zoom has been very exposed in these last few weeks with lots of security vulnerabilities. Now, confirmed that their traffic routes through China, which is a very, very large potential risk there. And so with Zoom, if you're going to use Zoom, and maybe just quickly, I would publicly say we probably recommend some more mature, more secure options such as WebEx or Microsoft Teams. But if you're going to use Zoom, by all means, make sure that you are using passwords on your Zoom meetings, that you change any passwords you have in Zoom because passwords have been hacked now and meeting IDs have been hacked within Zoom. We'd recommend that you, as a meeting host, that you configure Zoom so that only you can admit people into your Zoom meeting, because there's been a massive amount of hijacking of Zoom meetings that have gone very wrong, unfortunately, right here in Utah with schools and school districts who have had hackers put porn up on the screen in front of students, which is obviously not awesome. And so there's just a few measures. Make sure your Zoom is up to date with the absolute latest version, because there were several significant vulnerabilities that would allow hackers to actually hack into your computer through Zoom. So make sure you update it. That's a few quick things. I know we're short on time. Any other questions there, Christine?
Well, I think it's definitely something that everyone needs to consider. We encourage individuals here within our community, if they're concerned about work at home security. Also, if you want to join this Business Leaders Collective, reach out online to Nexus IT or Nerve Park City. Thanks to both Todd and Earl for joining us today. We have more coming up. Renee from Wild Women Tribe will be with us right after this break.